Good evening, adventurers, and welcome back to the Maze. I am the Master of Mazes, Carl. With me, as always, is my son Stephen, the apprentice, and this is confirmed, MazeCast episode number 11.
That's the
I
one.
got it right this time,
Mm-hmm.
so hopefully I don't get blasted in the comments again. But anyway, Maze number 11. We are still around. We are coming in at about 20 to 30 views for every episode. So I do
Mm-hmm.
appreciate those who keep checking out the videos. Um, would really ask that all of you hit that like button. That does help. That will help increase our visibility on YouTube and get us in front of some more viewers, so we can continue to bring you these episodes. Because I hope that you are enjoying them. We
Mm-hmm.
also ask that you comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what we talk about, even if it's just telling us, give us a thumbs up, or telling us you don't agree with us. Whatever it takes to get you guys engaged, we'd love to have you engaged with us. And please like and subscribe, share with your friends, and let's help get the MazeCast out there for everybody to listen to and enjoy and help and participate in. Because that's why we do this. It's for the community. It's not just so we hear ourselves talk. So, um, what's new at the maze? Well, right now we are doing thankful posts over on mastersmaze.com, our website. The first two episodes are up. We posted post number 2 today. Thanks to the apprentice for getting that up. I posted one last week while we were on vacation. My wife and I went on a cruise down to the Caribbean. I did have one entire day in St. Thomas where I had web access. So shot that over to the apprentice so he could get it posted up on the website so we could continue to be current and bring you guys some more content to take a look at. So we'll have a link for that in the description block below where you guys can go over and check that episode out. Episode 1 and 2 are up, and we will be doing one of these thankful posts every week this month. Also, wanted to let you guys know we did this past Friday, this last night. We're recording on Saturday. We had session 0 of Daggerheart campaign. This is my paid Friday night game. I've mentioned before that our long-running, almost 3-year campaign in D&D 5e came to an abrupt end, thanks to a toxic player who decided they wanted to bully people, not only at the table, but apparently offline as well on the internet, which is totally unacceptable. So I would much rather have a smaller table with decent players than to have a larger table with one player who just can't seem to control himself. So we'll talk more about toxic players later. But our Daggerheart Session 0 was last night. We are all new to the rules. I have been reading the rule book, but there's a lot to absorb. And the difference between Daggerheart and D&D 5e is pretty staggering. So it's going to take some getting used to. So all of us are sitting down at the table. I have 3 players, and we are trying to get used to the game together. But we had a lot of fun. We will put up a recap in full of Session 0 over on our website, and we'll have a link for that in the description as well for you. We've got some TTRPG news that we would like to share with you. We're kind of excited and a little confused about. I'm going to start right out with the big one, Dark Sun. So, all of you that are in the know, that have been around in the community, know that WotC has basically came out and said that the Dark Sun campaign setting that all of you are familiar with, that came out in first and second edition Dungeons and Dragons, was a problematic setting, primarily because of the fact that it had slavery in it. That seems to be the go-to bullet point that everybody wants to point out. It has slavery. Well, it does, and I always thought it was a good setting. Forgotten Realms has slavery in it. If you go to Thane, they have slaves. If you go to the east, they have slaves. If you go to Kalimshan, they have slaves. It's not really a talking point, and it is something that a lot of DMs play down, but I don't really understand why that's the basically the one obstacle for Dark Sun.
I was about to say that's
But
very
last month,
strange. Like the normal like murder and slaughter in normal like Forgotten Realms is totally fine, but then it's like, oh, but
yeah,
there's slaves in this one. It's like, oh, well, that's ridiculous. It's like that. Why is that? Like, I
yeah,
mean, I understand like real world history can be a touchy subject, but we're talking about make believe
right,
realms that are made to fantasize and make up your character and role play.
yeah.
So like, what a strange thing to be hung up on there.
Well, and I get it. Slavery is kind of a hot button topic, right? And it's a lot of people find it offensive, and I totally get it. I find it offensive, but we're talking, like you said, we're talking about a fantasy setting. slavery is a real thing in the real world. It's a real thing today, people. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
Yep.
do a little research. There's slavery all over the world.
It was
I don't
literally
agree with it.
only
I don't
abolished in America,
condone it.
so it was only abolished in
Right.
America.
I, yeah, I don't condone it. I definitely do not condone it, but it is part of a fantasy campaign setting. Uh, Races like mind flayers enslave the Duergar, Drow enslave other races to basically use them for slave labor. It happens. Um, but this is why we have session zeros, right? You can sit down, talk to your players, and find out what your players are comfortable with and what they're not comfortable with. And if slavery is something that makes your players uncomfortable, you as a DM have a responsibility to take that out of your game. Just gloss over it, don't talk about it, keep your players away from those areas where there is slavery. But last month, WotC came out and they had an Unearthed Arcana. And in that Unearthed Arcana, they had 4 subclasses, and those 4 subclasses were very specifically flavored and named after classes in the Dark Sun campaign setting box set. So you had the Gladiator, you had there were ones that were very specific to the Dark Sun campaign setting. So people were asking questions. Well, wait a minute. If you're not going to do Dark Sun, why are we putting out subclasses in the Unearthed Arcana that are very specific to the, like the Defiler Sorcerer, which is basically part of the Dark Sun setting. So now we find out this week that Hasbro and WotC have gone and renewed the license for the intellectual property of Dark Sun. So my guess is that either 2026 or 2027, we will see either a new campaign book or a new box set with a new campaign setting for Dark Sun. Whether or not they take slavery out of it, I guess we'll see. But obviously, Hasbro and Watts are going to pursue it if they think there's money to be had. So I, for one, will be very glad to see Dark Sun back on the table. I thought it was a great setting and at the right table with the right folks. It's kind of like Dark Sun, Dungeons and Dragons meets Mad Max, if you're not familiar with it. But it's an interesting setting. Definitely not one I would want to play a full campaign in or a long term campaign in, but it definitely has its place at the table and it can be fun. So glad to see that. We will have a link for that down in the show notes for you guys to take a look at. In other news, we have D&D Netheril's Fall. So basically, flying cities, time gates, and high-level magic. What else could you ask for in a supplement? I, for one, am a big Forgotten Realms fan, and the Netherese Empire has always been something that has fascinated me. I have always worked Netheril settings or scenarios into my campaign settings for people to play or to kind of get involved with. If you played Rime of the Frost Maiden, they had Netheril ruins in there that you could explore. So that's always been a big part of Forgotten Realms, and I'm glad to see that they are going to do a campaign book for it. So that'll be coming out as kind of a supplement accompanying the release of the Forgotten Realms campaign setting books. Stephen, I don't know if you're that familiar with the Netherese Empire or those
I
settings. I don't think we really delved into
no
that too much when you played.
no, but I mean I'm imagining they're like an ancient like precursor race that is like highly intelligent, highly uh,
Yeah.
that fell long before like a lot of the content is out. So like now you're getting to go back and kind of see what that was about. I understand like the
Yeah.
concept of that storyline. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of history if you do some research. The Netherese Empire fell because one sorcerer decided, or one wizard decided he wanted to take things to the next level and basically usurp Mistress power and become a god himself. Well, that broke the weave. It killed Mistress, sacrificed herself to try to protect the weave. And, when you have flying cities, when you take mountaintops and you cut them off and flip them upside down and build your cities on them and they're flying in the sky, and then magic fails, what do you think happens to those cities? Yeah, they fall. So that's the Netherese Empire. It's a lot of interesting history. Lots of links on YouTube where content creators have gone on and done history on it. So check those out. But we're definitely looking forward to that book as well. Stephen, I think you're pretty interested in this next little bit of news that we've got. I know you're a big BSG3 fan. I'm probably the only person on the planet that has not played BSG3 yet, but I promise you I will in the very near
Yeah, it's
future.
actually crazy that you haven't
Um,
played Baldur's Gate 3 because like it is literally just D and
it
D
is.
5e on the video game.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's finding time, really.
yeah, they're releasing a D&D book, Astarion's Book of Hungers, which just seems like a companion piece for vampirism and like some
Yeah.
fleshing out some of the class mechanics and maybe some backstory and some lore stuff, which is cool. I mean, it's hard to pick out like one character because like every single side character and even some of the like one-off throwaway characters that you just kind of run into randomly in the game are so well done. He is one of the
Hmm.
better ones. Just some of the I don't want to ruin it for you because I think you and I are going to try to maybe sneak peek, but we're going to try to play it
Yeah,
together.
definitely. Since it's
Um,
cross-platformed it now,
they added cross-platform, so you can play on PlayStation, I can play on PC. So I don't want to ruin anything, but he is a very cool character. That there's a lot of fun storylines you can get into with just him. Um,
hmm
and it is cool to see. This isn't the first time, and I'm sure not the last time that like official canon D&D is reaching out and grabbing like Baldur's Gate like characters from Larian Studios. Um,
hmm
like I think Karlak is even in. She's a tiefling warrior from the game, and she's even in some official D&D content now. And
right,
they should be. I mean, the game is the
right.
best Dungeons and Dragons digital
She's
Like I mean everything about that game, it's the best parts of D&D filtered into a video game. Now, I'm obviously more of a video gamer than I am a tabletop player these days. But I will say like that, just Larian Studios knocked it out of the park. So anytime they can loop in the original characters from Larian into D&D canon stuff, material, anything like that, I'm for it.
and it makes sense for WotC to drop it now, with the Forgotten Realms campaign setting books coming out. The
Mm-hmm.
Player's Guide has already dropped. The Dungeon Master's Guide is on its way. It's the timing is for them to go ahead and drop things like this,
Mm-hmm.
especially anything set in the Forgotten Realms. So I'm okay with it. Will I pick it up? I don't know. I'll probably check it out at the local game store, and if it looks like there's some interest in it for me or something I might be able to use at my table, I may pick it up. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. We'll hold off judgment on that, but we'll see how it turns out.
While we're
Uh,
on the Baldur's Gate 3 topic,
yeah.
I do want to say officially next year, there's been two complete campaign mods by the community.
Mhm.
Luckily, since WotC has decided to already move on to Baldur's Gate 4 with a different studio, so Larian just doesn't have any movement in terms of like adding content to the game anymore, which they
Right.
thought they were going to have years and years of support, and that just didn't happen. So
Right.
luckily, it's got a very good mod system, and there's two giant community projects coming out next year for Baldur's Gate, which are going to be two entirely new campaigns that are being built by the community.
Wow.
And what's
Okay.
great is, the mod system in the game. You can just go to the community mod library and download the campaign and just play it. Like you don't have to do any weird like.
Wow. Okay.
You can even do it from console. Like there's literally it's built into the game to like be able to like. And I
Okay.
feel like it's like almost like Larian knew they weren't going to get the support that they should have because they built this mod
Right.
studio in and we're like, hey, if you have like a fun like if you're a coder and you make a module, you could just let other players play it. You download it directly in the game client and you're good to go. Um,
Well, I'm sure Larian probably saw the writing on the wall. I don't
I
believe for a minute that Hasbro or WotC waited until the last minute and jerked the rug out from
no,
underneath
I
them.
think
I
they knew
get
pretty
it's
early because they
they
were
never committed.
when the game came out, they were like saying how like they were so excited. And I remember even the studio dropping some like Ravenloft hints, like the first DLC was going to be a Ravenloft campaign. So I was like,
That
oh
would have
my
been awesome.
god. And then like not
Yeah.
not long after that, they were like, I think Larian has their own convention that they hold. Actually, when Baldur's Gate 3
Really.
came out, Larian Studios rented a real life European castle, and they all dressed up like in knight armor and stuff, and released. That's when they released Baldur's Gate 3.
Wow.
Um, and they have
That's
like
pretty cool.
their own little convention they do, and like
Okay.
like at their convention that year, people were expecting them to have like all this news about expansions, and they were just like, yeah, we're really looking forward to working like keeping the game moving forward mechanically, and we're working on Divinity 3, and people are like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, there's the biggest campaign, that one that most people are looking at right now. It's called, and I'm gonna probably butcher how this is pronounced. You might know what this place is, but the campaign is called Path to Minzo Baranzan.
Menzo Baronzon. So Menzo
So
Baronzon is a drow city in the Underdark.
So that's this campaign. They're saying that it could add up to 120 hours of gameplay to the game. Um,
Holy
it's
cow!
apparently it's the campaign that's coming out is going to take place, or it's going to be as big as the original
The original
campaign.
game.
Larian's not
Okay.
officially involved with it. The studio did say while it was considered making DLC, this was kind of the route that they were going in. So I don't know if the studio like had any kind of consulting piece to this, but it's like a massive project done by a huge
Mm-hmm.
community team. So it's not just one
Okay.
guy. This is like 15, 20 people working on this.
That's
So
awesome.
it's it's
I
it's
love
very
seeing the
cool.
community come together and putting something like this together when there's a project that they're passionate about. And let's face it,
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of passion from the community, not only from video gamers but from tabletop gamers for uh, Baldur's Gate 3.
It's such. I mean,
And
it's like such a good game. Like it's so crazy how
I
good it is.
love seeing all of these people come together, joining their efforts, combining their skills, and coming up with some campaign material and some DLC that everybody can kind of download and play for free.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
So
I don't know how good
definitely
like the
appreciate it.
mod system is, like how easy it is for you to make a module. Like I don't know if it requires you to be a coder or if it's like relatively easy. But it is cool to see. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a big deal. A lot of people are just as excited for it as if it was like an official module. So,
Larian project.
yeah,
Yeah.
excited to see that.
Yeah, me too. Let's jump into our Kickstarter news. Our friend John has launched his Tales of the Winter Veil over on Kickstarter, and I immediately jumped in there and we talked about this on our last podcast, and it looks like a really interesting 5e supplement. It's going
Mm-hmm.
to be a horror themed sub anthology that's basically going to be set in a wintry area, kind of like Icewind Dale. So it has a lot of potential. I kind of got the Thing vibes from John Carpenter's The Thing vibes from it. So I'm definitely on board. So I backed that immediately. We'll have a link in the show notes for you guys to go over and check it out because it is still running. And even if you don't make the Kickstarter, you can always go in and pre-purchase or pre-order the material from them. John's got a lot of great little add-ons that are coming in as we go along as we unlock those. So pretty excited to see how successful that's going to be for him, and I wish him all the best with it. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
Also, while I was over there, as I have a tendency to do, I scrolled around
It's
and
so
was
easy.
looking at other items. So easy. It's a trap. It's a trap. You know, Admiral Akbar would tell you it's a trap. But I found something called Enshrined, which is a 5e mythic horror odyssey. And basically, it is a supplement where, for 5e, where imprisoned gods and horrors are locked away on this island. And your players can get access to that island. They can run missions. They can find these eldritch type horrors. They can find weakened or dying gods that have been imprisoned. You can free them. You can decide to leave them. Whatever. It really was exciting to me. I've always kind of had this really deep concept um, that gnaws at the back of my mind to kind of do something with the astral sea. You know, the astral sea is where dying gods go, right? And in some video games, we've seen where there are like the remains of dying gods floating in the astral space that you can interact with and things of that nature. I've always wanted to do something with that, but this seems to take that to a kind of a new level. So definitely something I would be excited to read up on. So I went ahead and backed that. I did go ahead and back at the PDF level. So I'm pretty excited about that. We'll have a link for that in the show notes as well. If you guys are interested, you can take a look at it. Give them a look. I think it is something that might be beneficial to your table, something you might enjoy. But let's jump into some games and movie news. Steven, I think you're still playing Deadlock, aren't you?
Yeah, it's still my the time that I do get to play. It is just sucking me in. It's such a good game. I know I talked about kind of the mechanics and some of the characters last time and the overall vibe. It's that 20s kind of mysticism, occult, steampunk vibe. It's just such a cool game. I'll have to. I think I put some pictures in last time. I'll probably put some more pictures in
Yeah.
here. It's just it's an awesome game. Playing that for sure. I did want to drop a note about a movie. Even though Halloween has come and gone, a movie came out called Weapons, which I really wanted to see. Didn't get the time around Halloween. I watched it shortly after. I actually think the next day. But it is, as most people know, I'm a horror movie fan. I love it. I like. I'm
Oh,
a.
yeah. Any
I
horror
feel
movie
like
fan.
yeah. I think probably in recent history, Hereditary was like the best horror movie that had come out in a long time.
Sure.
I really
Mhm.
wanted Longlegs to be like that next movie. Nicolas Cage was really good in that movie, but the rest of the movie kind of just fell flat for me. Weapons did not. It has some of the
Okay.
most eerie, strange, just chilling scenery, cinematography I've seen in a long time. There's one scene in
Okay.
particular. I think a lot of people, if you've seen it, will know the one I'm talking about. It's the one where, well, I don't want to give too much away, but there's like a 30-second one take scene where this person is walking across the yard with a pair of scissors towards the protagonist, and she's asleep in her car, and you're watching the whole thing. There's no jump scare, there's no cuts, there's no anything. It is just one
Mhm.
like very long, weird, like it's almost like you're holding your breath the whole time. And I
Okay.
brought this up before, but I just love when horror movies don't rely on like jump cuts and jump scares and this and
Right.
loud noises. This movie has like almost there's like one part, like one scene in the movie I remember that had like what you could consider a jump scare. Everything
Mhm.
else was just these scenes that were just like it was so well done. It was the best horror movie I've seen since Hereditary. I highly recommend it if you're into horror movies. It's
Okay.
very, very good. It's not for the faint of heart. There's some scenes in it that are pretty hard to watch in terms of just like, I mean, it's not like overly gory or anything, but
Right.
there's some scenes in it that are like not for people that are just getting into their first horror movie. That's for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that warning. I have not heard of weapons, but I will
It
definitely put it
it's
on
weird
my.
because there like Josh Brolin is in it. Like it's like it's got tons of
Really?
like famous people in it, but like it just flew under the radar for some reason. Um,
Huh. I
I
wonder if
can't.
this is what is it an indie film or?
No, I mean I don't think like Josh Brolin's in it. I think her name is Jennifer Gardner, not the famous one you're thinking of, but she's the blonde-haired girl from Ozark, like the relatively
Oh,
younger
okay.
girl
Yeah.
that everyone liked in Ozark. The guy that
Right.
played Wong in Doctor Strange, I don't remember his name, the actor's name, but he was in it.
Right.
He's great in everything I've seen him in. It had a lot of like real talent in the movie, and I feel like it like wasn't marketed well, or maybe they didn't want it to be marketed well. Like they wanted it to kind of, speak for itself and not like over market it to death and have a million commercials about it. I saw like one or two YouTube ads for it, and that was it. And then
Okay.
it's out on Hulu now, so it's or HBO, whatever. But it's awesome. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Definitely a great movie.
I'll check that out. Yeah, we had a couple of days at sea while we were on the cruise ship, and I got the chance to check out two movies on their streaming channel for the ship line. The first one was The Creator, which is a film set in the future where basically mankind perfects AI. They put these AIs into like robotic bodies. And these robots basically become almost like a slave race. They
Hmm.
do all the jobs that people don't want to do, and not to give too much away, but eventually humanity goes to war with AI. And it's a really good story about a soldier who basically is out to destroy AI, and at the end he winds up protecting an AI and trying. And it kind of sees the other side of things where AI does not want to be destroyed. They've become kind of self-aware and they want to live as a race. So
Hmm.
um, it's a really interesting movie. I really enjoyed it, so I would highly suggest if you guys are into sci-fi, futuristic war type movies. The Creator is definitely a good one. Another one I watched was a live action version of the manga anime, Elite Battle Angel. I
Hmm.
really enjoyed that. My wife enjoyed it, and my wife doesn't normally watch anime or manga. She's not normally interested in anything like that. But
Hmm.
she was definitely interested in Alita Battle Angel, so I would highly recommend that one as well. I know that was out a few years ago, but it was definitely a good watch for us while we were on the cruise ship. So
Yeah, that
I would
movie's
recommend
great.
that one.
Two shout outs there. Christoph Waltz was the doctor, like Alita's like
Yes,
dad figure. He's amazing in
yep,
everything. Everything I've ever seen him
he is.
in. He's just so good. And then for creator,
Yep,
the protagonist, he's also in Tenet. That actor, I can't remember
yep,
his name. He is also a very good actor. And if you haven't, just
he
kind
is
of
a
in that
great actor.
same vein, if you watch like a movie like Creator, and you're like, oh, that was sick. What other movie should I watch? I just wanted to throw a couple more.
Right.
Obviously, Tenet is great. It's kind of in the
Hmm.
like sci-fi, futuristic. Uh, realm. It's kind of its own weird movie, Inception style, kind of mind bending movie. But I wanted to throw
Okay.
Elysium in there with Matt Damon,
Elysium was
and
really good. I
a
love
movie that I
Elysium.
feel like it's like criminally slept on, District 9. If you haven't seen District 9, uh,
Nine was amazing.
it was
My wife and I
amazing.
both loved it.
And I don't remember the guy's name, but he always makes every movie awesome. The guy that was like the mercenary, the South African mercenary in District 9,
Yes.
he's in the new
Yes.
season of Witcher, which I haven't watched yet fully because like Henry Cavill isn't the Witcher anymore. But I will
Yeah.
say he's apparently the guy that played that South African mercenary is in The Witcher as the corrupt older Witcher. I don't remember his name in the book, but he's in this season, and apparently people are like,
Okay.
watch the season just for his part because in the
Okay.
books he was like a. I mean, basically he's a Witcher that's turned into like a sellsword, and not
Okay.
only is he a Witcher, he's like an incredibly good one. And
Okay.
he is like an evil piece of garbage, and apparently he crushes the role in season 4, and people are like, watch it for his part alone.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
I'll have to
watch it
check
for
that
him.
out because I watched the first two seasons of The Witcher because I was a fan of the video games
Hmm
and I really liked the show.
Witcher
I
3
think
is one of the
Henry
best
Cavill
games ever made.
I think that Henry Cavill did a spot on job of playing Geralt. He
Yep.
did,
Yep.
I mean, obviously his research, he was passionate about it. Season three came along where, they kind of pushed Geralt to the background and they focused on the female characters, which is fine.
hmm
But it just, I couldn't get into the storylines
My
and it
problem
kind of
is
fell off
like
with
it's
season three.
fine if you have a plan. Like it seemed like they just
Yeah,
shifted it, and that's as far as their plan went. They're like, let's
right.
make it about someone else. Okay, okay, well that's fine. What's the story? Why are we shifting
Yeah.
it? Because. Oh, okay. I mean, at
Well, I
the
mean,
end of
if you're going to do that, do a spinoff,
yeah,
do a
sure.
spinoff.
And if
These
you
are
remember,
primary
they did
characters.
do one called Witcher Blood Origin, and it was awful, and nobody watched it.
It
Um,
was terrible.
because everybody, I mean, you watch The Witcher. Why do you watch it? Well, it's in the name. We're watching it for The Witcher. And you have Henry Cavill playing The Witcher. He does an incredible job that's faithful to Andrei Sarpowski's Geralt of Rivia
Yeah.
character in the books. And then you
Yes.
make it not about him, and it's like, why are people mad? Well, why do you think? I will say a lot of
Yeah.
people hated the casting. I thought the casting was fine. I think Yennefer's a great cast. I think she works well. Series a fine
Yes.
cast, but just the writing team is just kind of and it's well known by now all over the place. The writing of that show is very weird and
It
very
really
off,
is.
just like Rings of Power, right? Um,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna watch season 4 just for. I wish I could remember this guy's name, but he plays like the corrupt Witcher in season 4, and like the fight scene where he fights the rats, which is this like gang of misfits that Ciri is running around with. People say
Mhm.
is rivals the season 1 choreography of like Henry Cavill Witcher, which was the best I've ever seen in fantasy live action ever.
I-
They say
I'm
this
going to
fight
throw
scene
one
is
out.
up there, so I'm gonna watch it.
I'm going to I'm going to throw one out for great fight scenes.
Hmm
It's a Netflix series. It just came out this week. It's called The Last Samurai. No, it's not that terrible Tom Cruise movie. Everybody in that movie was great except Tom Cruise. This is basically after the Meiji period, during the Meiji period, after the Battle of Sekigahara, where
hmm
the samurai are basically
Out,
outlawed.
yeah, they're banned.
It's a
Yep.
it's a it's a samurai who was at the last battle, who basically has developed kind of a early form of PTSD, and he basically gets roped into the fact that in that period, those who had practiced the code of Bushido, those who were samurai, did not want to give up their swords. Kind of went into hiding. They basically became recluses, or they were basically destitute or poor. And right about that time, there was a cholera outbreak, so people were dying all over the place. So it was just a terrible time in feudal Japan. So basically, there is these pamphlets are being handed out, promising people 100,000 yen if they participate in a game. So he, of course, takes up his sword, which has not been drawn since the Battle of Sekigahara, and he goes off to participate in this game. And I'll tell you that the fight scenes in this, the choreography is amazing. The costumes are amazing. The acting is amazing. I've watched episode number one. There's 6 episodes in season 1, and I'm already hooked. So if
Hmm.
you're into like feudal Japan, or if you're interested in Bushido or the samurai class, definitely a must watch on Netflix right now. So check that out. We'll have a link for that in the show notes as well.
hmm
Um, I have been playing Days Gone. I know it's an old game, and people are going to be like, "Where the hell have you been for the past what 5 or 6 years?" I think,
It's a good one.
but it dropped on PS5 as a free game. So I've been playing a lot of that and having a lot of fun with it. Sadly, The Apprentice tells me there will be no sequel, so I'm like,
Nope.
"That's great. Of course I like it." So, free right now on PlayStation 5. If you have PlayStation, it's in the free game, so check that out. It is a fun game.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Weapons definitely want to check out. There is rumors, nothing confirmed yet about a Fallout 5 in the works.
Mm.
I haven't seen anything official about who will be attached to it because we know Bethesda, I guess, has kind of walked away from Fallout. But um, I'm definitely interested if anybody has any news, if anybody has anything that's concrete, please drop us a link in the comments. We would love to check that out. Steven and I are both big Fallout fans. I
Mm-hmm.
love the game. Always love the games. I love the television series, which I'm excited for that to start back up next month.
Yep.
But I'm definitely on board for a Fallout 5.
Yeah,
I
I'll
hope
tell
it's
you
better
if.
than Fallout 76, but you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, for what it's worth, that game got way better the longer it went. I actually went back and played
Yeah.
76 like a year ago, and like it has come so far. And it's sad that it seems like games take about 2 to 3 years after launch to get to where games used to be when they came out. It's just kind of the way of the world
Right.
right now. But um, I am sure with Bethesda working on Elder Scrolls, which supposedly there's going to be news about that next year. Who really knows? Starfield completely flopped. That was supposed to be their game that got everybody through to Elder Scrolls, and that
Sure.
game is basically dead. Um, so interesting. I hope what they do is they give it to was it Rebellion that did New Vegas? I hope they just
Rebellion. Yeah.
or whoever it was. I hope they just give it to them and let them do it because it kind of makes sense because the show like season 2 of Fallout's going to be New Vegas. Um,
Yeah.
just so
And
let
I
that
mean,
studio like
the iron is hot. The iron is hot with that show out right now,
well
and the resurgence in
the show's out. The
like
big
there was
tabletop is
so much
doing well. Like just
there
let.
was so much Fallout cosplay at
Oh
Dragon
yeah,
Con
yeah.
back in September. And like you said, Motifus has done the TTRPG for Fallout, which I have played. It's
Hmm.
an amazingly fun game. It's very true to the video game series,
Yeah, yeah. I
and
mean, the
it
show's
very
killing it. The
definitely has that feel.
merchandise is killing it. I mean, there's the Magic the Gathering expansion, Universes Beyond for it. Like the best thing that ever happened to Fallout since Fallout 3 was New Vegas. I mean, 4 was fine. It wasn't as good as 3. It definitely wasn't as good as New Vegas. So just like
Right.
give that studio what they deserve. Give them the license. Let them just make the next game, and so you can focus on
Right.
Elder Scrolls, so that's not a steaming pile of crap like Starfield was. That's what you should do. And now are they going to do that? I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? So we're going to jump into kind of our closing segment here. We're
New
going to
name
call
for it,
this
the
moving
extra
forward
loot segment.
extra loot.
Yeah, because I noticed that
It's
the end of our show always kind of like we had like the outro and questions and recommends and all this stuff, and it's like why not make that like a fun little like one segment, one shot. Here you go. Here's everything at
yeah,
the end. Um,
yeah, I
so
like it.
for the holiday season, which we I
Hmm.
have we have 4 Christmas trees up, I think, already.
Yeah, I put
So
mine up tomorrow. So,
yeah, so I was thinking, well, who better to ask than you? Let's do like a holiday
mhm.
season 2025 Dungeon Masters holiday gift guide, right? For all these people out here
Okay.
that don't know what to buy your local dungeon master, I mean, who better to tell you than my dad? So, what do you
Yep.
think, would be an easy stocking stuffer for a dungeon master other than dice? Because everyone's gonna say dice.
Other
That's
than dice,
lame.
everybody's going to say
Yeah,
dice,
we
and
got what
you
other
can never
things?
have enough dice. You
That's
can never
true.
have enough dice.
That's true. What else you got?
Dice is kind of like for me, dice have kind of become like a tie. Dads want ties under
Mm-hmm.
the damn Christmas tree,
Right. No
unless
more socks.
there's some kind of or socks or underwear. I have plenty of dice, and dice to me are kind of personal. I want to buy my own dice. I'm very particular about the type of dice I want
Mm-hmm.
in my dice tower that I'm going to use. But I'll tell you what, my players in my paid games, every year we have kind of a holiday gift exchange, and they have come up with some great gifts. One year I got a wooden pin that had metallic inlay for letters that said Dungeon Master Carl on it, which I thought was amazing. I love that. I still use that to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, it is refillable, so I can keep it forever. That was a great gift. One year they gave me, last year, as a matter of fact, they gave two of my players gave me a collapsible dice tray. So it basically lays down flat. You can fold it up into a dice tray, snap it. and it actually has a picture of one of my favorite pieces of art from Charles Urbach on it, which I have over here on my wall right now, and I've posted pictures of it on my Instagram. I call it the Collector. I don't know what Charles calls it. I don't think I've ever gotten around to finding out, but it's basically a guy sitting on a throne, and he is surrounded by like He-Man sort of power. You've got the sword from Hawk the Slayer, and it's all these little caveats and like little hidden treasures for basically just a bunch of different sci-fi and fantasy shows. So that a dice tray, a collapsible dice tray, is something that's not very expensive. It's easy to get, and it folds up and puts in a stocking. Also, one thing that I got one year that I thought was an amazing gift was I got a actual little notepad, small notepad. It just says field journal. In that field journal, it has little pages that have graph paper on it, so I can sketch out little rooms or notes or little maps.
Mm-hmm.
It has a place for notes, like NPC names, things like that, where I can sit here as I'm making things up on the fly, because your players are always going to throw you a curveball. You can sit here with this little field journal, and I keep it behind my screen with me all the time, and I keep it open, and I write down notes. I'll write down the date, the time, what game we're playing, and then I'll write down myself little notes on there, and I can always flip to that, and I have it available whenever I need it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all if it's in my folder, and it goes with me wherever I go. So that's a great gift too, and it's not very expensive.
Right. I've
So
always
that would be kind of fancy guys.
yeah those. I mean, I can appreciate those because I've always kind of when people ask me what to get me, it's like I like things that I'm actually going to use, right? Like things that are
Right.
practical. I don't need like another thing to hang on a wall or another like a check. I'd rather have like, I mean, one gift that I bought myself that I couldn't help myself. I've been doing it nonstop since I got it, is this little lock picking set, right? And it's like,
Lock picking skill 100.
yeah, and it's like I've been doing it and been sending dad videos of it. The better I get, and it's like, what a cool thing to like. What if you like had a guy in your party that was like a rogue? It's like, dude, you
Yeah.
play a rogue in all my games. Why don't you get a lock picking set? Like you can actually maybe you can even incorporate that into a game. Like, hey, you got 15 seconds to pick
Yeah.
this lock. Here you go, and hand him a lock and see if he can do it. And like just things that can
That
add to
is
the
really
game.
an amazing. That's an amazing tactical, kind of tactile.
Tactile like thing
Uh,
that you can actually feel and
yeah,
see. Like,
that you
well,
can put your hands on, and
yeah,
you can start the clock running, and the players are all
yeah.
encouraging.
So it's
That's a
like
great
at
idea.
you as the DM can be like, yeah, you're a rogue. Like, you have the here's a lock. You got to pick it in 30 seconds, or like, these guys are gonna bust into the room. And your party's got to hold them off while you pick a real lock at the table. That's cool. Like to me,
That's
that's
fun.
that's like a cool thing where it's like,
That's awesome.
I mean, number one, being able to pick a lock is a cool skill in real life. In case you ever like you lose a key to a padlock or whatever. I don't Yeah, I'm not like trying to. I'm not trying to sponsor like criminals to break into houses, but like I mean, it's a nice skill to have to be able to pick a lock. And but like it's a
It
cool
is.
thing at face value. You're like, why the hell would I want that? And it's like, hey, if you're playing a tabletop game, or I mean, and how many games do you play in video games where it's like Fallout, Skyrim, where you got to pick locks? Well, now if you're playing a tabletop version of that game, you can have a real world prop that actually works. I mean, this is a see-through lock, so you can see all the little pins and everything in it. But um,
Right.
just something like that, I think would be a fun like little stocking stuffer for like anybody that's a
Yeah.
tabletop game player, where you could give them like a tactile. And I mean, for me, I like to fidget. I have a bunch of fidget toys and things like that. So just something like that where you
Well,
could work it in.
this takes fidget toys to the next level, though, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like a fidget toy, but it's teaching you a
Building a
skill
skill,
that
yeah,
could
building a
come in
skill.
handy.
Um,
Yeah, I like it.
so we're gonna probably have these like throughout the season where we just have like a gift guide idea where it's like, hey, this thing would be
Yeah.
really cool, and I'm gonna keep my eyes and ears out, and I'm sure Dad always does during this time of year, but I did want to throw in one kind of wild card here. A
Uh-huh.
company that makes a couple trading card games I follow, Ravensburger. They make Lorcana and a bunch of other tabletop things. They have a series of tabletop games called Horrified, and it's a
Okay.
series of games. They've got a bunch of different IPs that they use. One of them is Universal Monsters,
Okay.
and they have
I see you're interested in it.
exactly. So basically, what it is it's a cooperative tabletop game where you play as whatever protagonist group you are, and you're protecting a certain point or whatever against an opposing force. The Universal Monsters
Okay.
one is like you're basically heroes protecting a village from Frankenstein or whatever, and there's all kinds of monsters that come in and perks and skills. A couple months ago, they released a D&D version, which I didn't know. I didn't even know they had
Okay. I
one.
did not know that either.
They released the officially licensed D&D Horrified tabletop game. Looks really fun.
Okay.
So I'd say that it's like $30, I think. It
Okay.
is kind of one of those things where it's kind of like we talked about with Satchel Quest and stuff like that, where it's like you can
Right.
play it in like a one session, and you don't have to like it's not a drawn
Right.
out thing. Where if you're just looking for a one shot game, this is in the IP of D&D. It looks really fun. The Horrified series has been out for a long time. They have like every IP under the sun. So I'm surprised there hasn't been a D&D one until now, but it looks pretty good. So that is out.
I'll
That's an
definitely check
easy
it out.
easy one to throw under the tree for somebody that's D&D adjacent in your
Yeah.
life that they have all the dice in the world. They got everything they could ever need, player handbook. There's all kinds of little $30, $20 Kickstarter tabletop style games you can just throw under the tree. So we'll try to list those throughout the season for y'all. Because this is my
Okay.
favorite time of the year. I'm always looking out for stuff like this and trying to find out what the hell to
Good.
get Dad because he has everything he could ever want as far as D&D stuff. So it's like I got to get
Not
creative
wrong.
and find this stuff. Um, and then to close it out, I did have a question since you did the
Yeah.
Daggerheart session 0. If you were
Mhm.
playing a player, and you were not the dungeon master, do you know which class and ancestry you would be?
Absolutely. So I am a big fan of the Galapa, which is basically a tortoise folk.
They look
Um,
cool.
I like the concept, and maybe it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing for me, because I collected that comic back in the '80s when it was the black and white comic, and they actually killed people.
Yeah.
But I like the just the concept of a tortoise person to me is very interesting.
Hmm.
And if as far as class goes, I would probably I can kind of visualize that character as either being a guardian because you got the shells, so you're kind of tanky. So maybe like a guardian, or either that or a ranger, something that would be involved with nature.
Hmm.
Like maybe he's like a seaborn character, which they're born near the sea, and maybe maybe he's basically does something to kind of protect the environment and kind of the ocean and the sea creatures and things like that.
Hmm.
That's to me was kind of the first concept when I was flipping through the book that jumped out at me. Otherwise, it would probably be a dwarven warrior or dwarven guardian.
Hmm.
Those concepts just kind of appeal to me because I always kind of play I always try to figure out what everybody else is playing at the table, and I'll ask people, what are your thoughts? What are you playing? What character classes, races, what have you? And then I try to fill in those gaps.
Hmm.
And where like if they're lacking a spellcaster, I'll play a spellcaster. If they don't have a healer, I'll play a healer of some kind. Um, but I also like to play characters who are kind of protectors, right? The kind of person that goes in and we see a village and there's children in harm's way. He wants to protect those children. He wants to take care of people that are kind of downtrodden and stuff like that. So those are the
Hmm.
kind of character classes that appeal to me. But yeah, I've definitely kind of looked at some character classes and some ancestries in Daggerheart that are definitely very interesting to me.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I looked over the Demiplane site, which is kind of their player database.
Right. Right.
Obviously, dwarf would be what I'd play. I don't, as far as like
Mm-hmm.
class, probably like a Valor Guardian. The Valor,
Yeah.
probably.
Right.
The Ranger looks fun. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the other part of me, actually, it's funny. We went to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing. I like the
Yep.
turtle, and I was looking at the Sage Witch was like a nature bound
Yeah.
caster. Um,
Yeah.
and then I saw I think what's the rogue subclass I was looking at here? I think it's like the syndicate subclass for the rogue,
Yeah.
where they have like the
Right.
connected domain cards where they can like
Yeah.
entering a town, you have like a connection, you could get info from the DM as like insider knowledge. I think like
Right.
a goblin or like the fawn ancestry like syndicate rogue would be fun.
Yeah.
Um,
That would be fun.
I mean, this game it seems really interesting because like it's almost like if Lord of the Rings or like a Lord of the Rings fantasy style game had a baby with like the Redwall series of books,
Right.
where it's like
Right.
there
And
is like normal high fantasy like like we're used to with Lord of the Rings and D&D, but then there's like this nature aspect to it, kind of like Redwall's
right.
known for. Which
Right.
I mean I think in my opinion the two most formative like fantasy book series I've ever read are Lord of the Rings and then Redwall by Brian Chalk. I think are like the two like if you're gonna
Right.
read fantasy, those are two to start with. Like they're so good.
Yeah. Redwall's a great series,
It's
and
awesome.
so my players, just not to give too much away, because we want you guys to go over to the website and look at the recap. But the three
Hmm.
players I have at my table, One person is playing a Fey fairy. She's a
And
fairy.
let me guess what. So is Autumn a player character?
She is a player
All right,
character. Yes.
I can tell you. I will be able to guess who she is. Just tell me the
Okay,
classes,
good.
and I'll tell you. No, no, no.
All right.
Like
All right. So
read
the
them out, and
first.
then I'll tell you
Okay.
which one she is.
Okay. So the first person is a fairy, and she is playing a druid, and she has an animal companion that is a snow leopard.
That's cool.
Then we have a ribbit. The ribbit is
Oh,
also
the
is
frog
playing a
guys.
ranger.
I forgot about the
The frog guy.
frogs. They look cool.
The frogs are so cool. And his frog guy's name, the name that the player gave the character
Oh,
is Seventh of Dusk. And the person came up with this great concept is the first name of my brood is going to be what order you were born
hmm.
in, and then your title like of dusk is going to be approximately what time you were born. So the character said my character's name is Seventh of Dusk, and I was hooked because he went into this whole thing. I'm a ranger, and I like to do these rituals. So my experiences, I do these little rituals where I go around nature and I set up these little shrines made of rocks and sticks and plants,
Hmm.
and I basically am guardian of the forest around us, and I'm guardian of the pool. And because there is no world building in so far for Daggerheart, except what people are making themselves,
Hmm.
I basically leaned in heavily to my characters. Okay, what's the name of your town?
Hmm.
Tell me this pool, Mr. Ribbit, this pool that you were born in. What's the name of this pool? Oh, it's the walled moon pool. Well, why is it called the walled moon pool? Oh, we built a mud and brick wall around it, to protect it. And my third character is a Infernus, which is basically
That's
kind of
Autumn.
like think tiefling.
That's Autumn.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
I didn't need to hear the
Infernus
rest.
an Infernus Seraph. So
What does that do?
she
Oh,
has
the
she
winged
has
people.
yeah. So well, they can pop wings, but basically what they are is they're a divine warrior class.
Hmm.
So basically, her father was a divine warrior. Her mother was a devil. Don't ask me how they got together, but they did.
The classic
Autumn was
story.
orphaned. Classic story. She was orphaned, so she has a divine side and she has a demonic side,
Hmm.
and she's playing it really well. I like how she's playing it. This game system leans very heavily into collaborative storytelling,
Hmm.
and I let my players describe a room. Okay, so you walk
Yeah,
into
yeah.
this room, and I'll give them one feature. There's this large fireplace, and this fireplace is built out of one piece of stone, and it's carved to look like the yawning maw of a sperm whale.
Hmm.
So tell me what else you see in the room.
Hmm.
And then they kind of throw some things in. So
Yeah.
they're kind of helping me build the world as we go along. So it's been
I
pretty
kind of like
fun.
that.
Um,
I do like that style where it's like it's letting the player kind of express a little bit into the world of what they're
yeah,
seeing. Like because so often the area will be described to you, and the player will have an image of what they feel it is in their mind's eye. And instead of
mhm,
now just that dying with them, they can kind of put that into other people's like the collective idea of what they're dealing with. Now everyone is kind of seeing what everyone else sees, which is a cool way to do it. It's also an easy way to
it
make a
is.
tabletop game without having to spend tons of time on building a giant world. You could have just
Right.
players do it.
So that little player's book that I was telling you about earlier, the little field notes book,
Mm.
is I've got 2 pages full of notes
Hmm.
because they came up with their town name, they came up with the tavern that they like to hang out at and drink in. They told me how the three of them have known each other, how their paths crossed, and how they've come to live in this town together. My wife Autumn's character lives in a slum area of town because she's poor.
Hmm.
So it's called Rot Gut.
Hmm.
And then there's basically came up with the name of the tavern. They came up with the name of their favorite waitress, and they even came up with imagery for her. They posted an AI image of what the character looks like, which we'll have on our website. So
That's cool.
it came up with lots of things, and it keeps them engaged and lets them kind of add to the world, so they kind of have a vested interest in the world and how it proceeds. So
Hmm.
it's got some great elements to it. Definitely something that I could work into D&D or other games as well. But
Hmm.
we'll have a full recap over on the website for you guys to check out if you're interested. But
The
um,
Rivet player sounds a lot like how in Skyrim the Argonians their names are like what their job is and stuff like that.
right,
So it's almost like it kind
right,
of gives me that vibe with his character. And then Autumn's character having like the kind of light and dark sides kind of maybe at war with each other. For everybody, I mean,
yeah,
this is obviously critical role material. What that reminds me of is if you watched Vox Machina, Percy's character in season one, where he's
Yes.
like he's got
Yeah.
that raven entity that's like this revenge bound specter that is wanting him to kill these people, and he's like fighting against that. That's just like I remember seeing that and was like, that is the coolest fantasy character I've ever seen. You know, it's just like he would get
And
possessed and whip out
there's
that pistol, and I'm like, dude, this
yeah.
is awesome. You know.
There's so many great concepts that players can come up with, and your imaginative players will come up with stuff that will challenge you as a DM to kind of keep them engaged and interested. But a lot of the things that they fed me that first night at session zero, like I said, I have 2 full pages of notes and so many things that I can use to rope in and do plot hooks and things. So it's gonna be fun. I think we'll see how it ends. We're going to play 4 or 5 sessions, see how those sessions go, and then we're going to sit down and kind of round table and see what people like about the game, what they don't like about the game, and then decide whether or not we're going to continue with the campaign or if we're going to abandon it and move on to something else. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll keep you guys posted as we move along. So we'll be playing that every other Friday. So, but I think that's all we have for this episode of the MazeCast, episode
Mm-hmm.
number 11. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Please like, not only view, but please like if you would. That does help get us out there and keeps the algorithm appeased and makes the YouTube gods make us visible to more people. Please comment too if you would. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what we're talking about. If you have commentary on the movies that we've suggested, the video games we play, if you've got comments on Daggerheart, have you played it? Let us know what you think of the game and what the pros and cons are of it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested in the Dark Sun news? What do you think about the possibility of a Dark Sun campaign setting being coming out for 5e? Definitely would love to hear your thoughts on that as well. So get engaged. Meet us over on our website. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. We'll have the links for our socials in the show notes as well. But that's all we have for this week. So we would love to see you back in the maze next time. And until we do, keep your sword arm free, keep your steel sharp, and keep those spell components ready. And we'll see you next time in the maze.
Bye, everybody.